Round 2 of the BMW Race Driver Series comes from the iconic MG Classic meeting at Manfeild. We've got all the action from over 100 BMW races. So the points battle after the first round at Hampton Downs. Young Ashley Blewett leads from Brent Allen, who was second in the championship last year, with Matt Griffin third in the points ahead of defending champ Marty Irvine. So race number 1 in semi-wet conditions here at Manfeild. This is Group 1, race number 2 for the weekend, but race number 1 on Sunday. And watch for the faster drivers to have to work their way from towards the back of the field. We've got an onboard camera with Charles Dodds in the number 79 BMW E30. Didn't get the greatest of starts. So this is the 90 of Craig Coates and 76 John the Pom Tyler. Coates in the grey number 90. And Tyler in the red, white and blue E30, chasing him down through Splash on lap number 1. So tricky conditions. All of the drives, of course, on the Toyo semi-performance tyre, treated tyre. No slicks for these cars. A lot of these cars are road registered and can be driven on the roads. Headlights on for the majority in wet conditions. So we've got 4 BMW E30 races with such a big field of entries for the weekend. Again, they've had to be split into 2 different groups based from qualifying. And over their first 2 races, that sets the grid for the final group races, with the top 25 in points going into Group 1 and the balance into Group 2 to set the points for the weekend. So the points leader after Hampton Downs, Ashley Blewett, is in this Group 1. These drivers have already had a race so far this weekend. Ashley Blewett with a 2nd place finish in his first race, and Matt Griffin, who also is in this group, won the first race of the weekend for Group 1. Battles further back. The 17 is Bruce Miller, working his way towards the front. It's still Craig Coates with the race lead. Richard Oxton in that group. You can see the day glow sign writing on the number 18 BMW. That's the former Daniel Kent car that featured very highly in the championship last season. Richard's dad, of course, David Oxton, New Zealand motor racing legend, and he's battling there with Ashley Blewett. These two have probably done a lot of kart sport racing together over the years. And that's where a lot of these young racers are coming from, kart sport. It's a great class to get into. BMW Race Driver Series organisers have done a fantastic job to keep costs down, with regulations right throughout the cars, from the engines, tyres, the shock packages, of course. And there's not a lot of difference between the 4-cylinder and the 6-cylinder versions of the iconic BMW E30s. 93, Steve Kahn going through there. And we got one off, and it's the race leader, Craig Coates, buries the number 90 down into Toyota turn 1 here at Manfeild. There's Matt Griffin and the Auckland Hydraulic Supplies number 99. He's right in contention for the championship after the first round at Hampton Downs. Won the first race of the weekend for Group 1 here at Manfeild. He's chasing down the 17 of Bruce Miller. 72 Matthew Seddon and the 287 of Michael Clark just up ahead, back on board with Dodds. Just wondering if we're going to see a safety car, and we do. Safety car out, and that will be for Craig Coates. Effectively goes down a lap to the race leader, and that race lead is now held by the 76 of John Tyler. So safety car conditions, back to the restart. 93, Steve Kahn is your race leader. Coates pulls over and lets the leaders through. Richard Oxton looking for that inside run down through turn number 1. Ashley Blewett looking for an inside run. So back on board with Charles Dodds. He's outside the top 15. You can see how tricky the conditions are. Windscreen wipers on. Heading towards the infield here at Mighty Manfeild. This corner called Splash, while the race leader's already up at the hairpin. Kahn getting a little bit sideways under brakes on the way in. Richard Oxton having a good run here in the 2nd position. And Ashley Blewett looking for an inside run. on Richard Oxton, looking for that second position. He's already had a second place this weekend to consolidate his points lead. Khan's going to try and follow him through. There's Matt Griffin. 287, Michael Clark. So this is the last lap run. Ashley Blewett's got through to the lead on the last lap. He will take the win. First race on Sunday for Group 1. Bruce Miller holds on to second ahead of Steve Khan, with Richard Oxton in fourth. So Ashley Blewett looking to maintain his championship lead with a second and a first place finish already for the weekend. Bruce Miller in second, Steve Khan in third, followed by Richard Oxton, Matthew Seddon and Matt Griffin.
Actually, a lot of hard work there because you really came off the back to come through.
Yeah, no, it was a really tough race. Really enjoyed it. Tough conditions in the wet. It was very slippery. There was some oil left on the track from some of the other classes yesterday, so challenging conditions, but really enjoyed it.
And you just worked your way through and finally got to the front?
Yeah, I was probably helped out by the safety car towards the end there. Certainly closed the gap to the front 5 cars or so and managed to get it on the last couple of laps.
So on to Group 2 Race 1 on Sunday again. These guys with their second race of the weekend. Brent Allen second in the points, featuring in this race. And the reigning 1NZ of Marty Irvine. And again, they've got some work to do from towards the back of the group with the handicap start for the second race of the weekend. So dry conditions now for Group 2. Total contrast to the first race on Sunday for Group 1. Carrying our onboard in this one is Gerald Farber in the number 65. 3 wide just up ahead down into Toyota. So this will be the faster group of cars starting further back in the second race. Remembering the combined results of the first 2 races from both groups then sets the order for groups 1 and 2 for the final races of the weekend, with the top 25 or so in points in Group 1. They will feature in the top 25 positions for the weekend, and the balance into group number 2. Third round of the championship is at the Taupo Motorsport Park after Manfeild. Big weekend here at Manfeild for the NG Classic weekend, with over 300 motor racing entries, and over 100 of those feature in the BMW E30s and the Open class, which will feature up next in the race coverage here on Fujitsu Motorsport. Car number 110 there, Terry Honey. He's the second car in the Group 86 right there with him. Andrew Armstrong, who's featured in the action over the last couple of seasons. One going off the exit of the hairpin. It's the 63 of Grant McPhee. He got all out of shape off the exit of the hairpin and slid out onto the grass, and that's going to drop him right back through the order. 9, Ross Gardner, he's in there. 64, there is Brent Allen. Second in the championship after the first round at Hampton Downs. So lots of racing going right through this field. Let's have a look at the replay. What happens to Grant McPhee? He's out wide, out on the marbles, off the racing line. Just gets the number 63 E30 into a bit of a tank slapper and takes to the grass, and from there, there's no recovery. So he rejoins at the tail of the field. So Brent Allen's already worked his way towards the front. 86 Andrew Armstrong looks to be in the second position. That's 67 Mark Crompton right there with him. Gerald Farber also working his way towards the front with a little bit of work to do up at the hairpin with lots of traffic. That's Marty Irvine. A couple of cars ahead in that green and blue BMW E30. He is the reigning BMW E30 Series champion from a year ago. So narrowly beat Brent Allen to the title, and it came down to the last race and literally the fastest lap of the race and the race win to tie up the championship for Marty Irvine. So on board with Gerald Farber, just working his way out of Higgins onto the back straight here at Manfeild. So 316 Jeff Story looks to be the race leader as the quick guys are working their way through. There's Brent Allen going through with the big number 64 on the windscreen. There's Marty Irvine just going to the outside of Ian Brown. Gerald Farber Fava's also right there in that mix. He's not too far away. He's got an inside run here off 1 through to Splash. First part of Splash is pretty much wide open, but the second left hand is quite a tight corner. It's quite deceptive. John Paladin, the second of the Irvine team cars back there. He's number 54. 67 Mark Crompton having a good run here. Working his way down the Denny Holmes straight. Ian Brown loses another position, this time to the 50 of Craig Schuster. Returning back to the championship after some health issues last year. That car was driven to a couple of wins by former series champion Todd Pelham last season. So the lap's winding down here. Group 2, race 1 on Sunday in dry conditions at Manfeild. So Brent Allen on the last lap. He's up ahead of Mark Crompton on board the third placed number 65 of Gerald Fava out of Dunlop for the final time. Brent Allen will take the victory in Group 2 on Sunday. Mark Crompton in second with Gerald Fava in the third position. So Brent Allen's first win of the weekend to go with his 9th place finish in the first race for Group 2 on Saturday. Mark Crompton second, followed by Gerald Fava, Jeff Story, defending champion Marty Irvine, and the number 86 of Andrew Armstrong.
Brent, once again, a pretty good win, and you had to do a lot of work too.
Yeah, it was. We had a good start. The GR car sort of jumped off the line really well. Gave us a good start to the race, and from there on, if you get clear of some of the other guys that you usually battle with, you can put in some decent laps and get past quite a few of them. So no, it was a very good race. Yeah.
Standard of driving pretty good out there when they see you coming?
Yeah, it was. Like everyone's been talked to, and everyone knows what to do, and it's getting better as the season starts and gets on. Beginning of the season, everyone's sort of a bit forceful, but it's a good start to the season. Yeah.
Welcome back to Manfeild for the second round of the BMW Race Driver Series. Here's Roger Davis with how the Open class works.
This year, the Open BMW Championship has got 3 classes. You've got Group A, Group B, and Group C. And each class has got their own championship. Group A is the true Open Championship. Basically, anything goes. You can run whatever motor you like, you can run whatever gearbox you like, and also you run on slick tyres. Well, in Group B, there's a few more restrictions as opposed to Group A. Basically, you're allowed to run a modified engine, no turbochargers, but there is a weight restriction. Basically, the bigger engine, the more weight you've got to carry. But the main thing in the Group B is the controlling factor of the tyre. All the competitors must run these dot-rated tyres. Well, the rules in Group C are very similar to the rules in Group B. Basically, all the competitors must run a dot-rated tyre like this. Now, this is basically just a high-speed road tyre. The other major rule in Group C is all the cars must be under 2 litre. Now, there is a weight restriction. If you're running a 4-valve motor, it's a heavier car. If you're running a 2-valve motor, you run a lighter car. So there you have it in the Open BMW Championship. 3 classes, Group A, Group B and Group C. What that generates on the racetrack is very close racing. The drivers love it, and more importantly, the crowd really love it.
Thanks, Roger. So points after the first round of the championship. Barry Kirkbanan leads Class A from Michael Mosen. Aaron Harris leads Class B from Michael Starnes. Martin Seddon leads Class C from Gordon Legg. So again, it's a handicapped start for the first race on Sunday. It's the second race of the weekend for the Open class. And again, we've got numbers approaching 40 cars going with the nearly 60 cars in the E30s. So 100 entries for the BMW Race Driver Series from Manfeild for the second round of the championship. 87 just getting away there. That is David Brace in the JPS BMW 325 replica. So the smaller Class C cars are the E30 style cars that we see with the E30 Championship, but a lot of these cars have bigger engines than are allowed for the E30 Championship Series. Then you move to the Class Bs, which are dominated by the later model E36, BMW M3s and BMW 325s, and then the quick boys who'll be starting out of the pit lane for this one. There's Barry Kirkpanan going out in that wide-body M3 GTR V8 replica. Mike Delmont in the fire-breathing BMW 2002 Turbo, and Warwick Mortimer in another one of the BMW M3 GTR replicas. Fabulous sounding machine. This should be a good drag race. Delmont, reputedly one of the world's fastest BMW 2002s of this spec in the world. And Warwick Mortimer, that beautiful Race FX built BMW M3 GTR replica. That car, as opposed to the Barry Kirkpanan examples, more built along the lines of the American endurance spec cars, whereas Kirkpanan's car, you can see here on screen, was more along the lines of the European spec cars. Fabulous sounding car. We've got a yellow out down in turn number 1, and we've got another one off at Toyota. And it's a BMW 635. Zach Lawrence has buried the BMW M635 CSI in the kitty litter down the end of the front straight. So that brings out the BMW safety car. So like Group 2 for the E30s, their first race on Sunday, dry conditions for the open class as the track recovery team here at Manfeild retrieve Zach Lawrence's BMW, and a red flag is out. So they're going to stop this race just with the extraction of that car, taking a little bit of time to give these guys some laps to get towards the end of this first race. And with the handicap start, it's going to be harder for the quicker guys to try and get through to the front with less laps to run. Peter Bromley going through there in the bright green BMW 2002 car number 755. Sideways moment for another one of the BMW M3 GTRs. It's the 344 of Michael Mosen. Former Open Series champion Mike Delmont battling now there with Barry Kirkpanan as Michael Starnes goes around right in front of Barry Kirkpanan and Delmont. And Aaron Harris also involved there in the Harris Race Radios number 26. So these two are right in the fight for the Class B Championship. So let's see what happens here. Starnes locks up the rear brakes down into turn number 1. Harris is just to his outside, gets a touch in the right side driver's door. Starnes goes around and just out of shot. Aaron Harris went around as well. So that's compromised both of their races as Barry Kirkpanan and Mike Delmont blaze their way through traffic, but they're a long way back from the race leaders. And with the shortened amount of laps, safety cars and red flags, I think we're going to see one of the smaller Class C cars win this one. Lots of traffic. Look how much traffic there is for the faster cars. Warwick Mortimer literally with nowhere to go off the back of that group as Mike Delmont goes to the outside of Neville Finlay. So this is the last lap run. The race winner's already across the line. It's going to be Judy DeLuva in the Class C number 35. Barry Kirkpanan and Mike Delmont are going to finish a long way back outside of the top 20 with the finish of this first open race. A bizarre race with safety cars and red flags ruining the races for some of the faster drivers. But Judy DeLuva take nothing away from her. She takes the win from Richard Brocklehurst, Richard Spedding, Murray Brown, Peter Bromley and Matthew Parrish.
Judy, well done. I believe that's your first race win.
Yeah, it is. I mean, obviously with the Group C cars, you're slower, but with the safety car coming out, you know, you got to take it when it comes. And yeah, I was lucky, and the safety car stayed out for quite a while, so pretty rapt about it.
Chris, a bit of a funny race, really, but you came home first in Group A.
Yeah, no, that was really exciting. It was a bit of a hemorrhage down the bottom there with the 635 into the wall, but once we got around there and towards the end, we all bunched up and had a great run down and. Just seemed to be come over the line first on the A grid, so I was pretty excited about that, and no damages done, and yeah, ready for the next race coming up in Pukekohe.
Russell, well done. I believe this is your only second race meeting and you come away with a bit of a victory.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of luck out there, really. Obviously, there's an incident in turn 1 about 3/4 into the race, so I think the last quarter was under safety car. That definitely helped with Aaron and Starnes and some of the faster guys just held up the back under the safety car, so a bit lucky there, yeah.
that really bunched the field up for a one-lap dash at the end.
It sure did, because I couldn't keep up with some of the Group C E30s. I found just a lack of grip in the tyres. I mean, everyone obviously experienced that, but just couldn't close the gap. So I was able to onto the safety car, of course, and just maybe pipped one or two at the end there, so that definitely helped.
So we move back into the E30 class racing, and as you can see, lots going on pit side. There's lots of camaraderie in the BMW series.
Well, the E30 series, there's a lot of competitors in it, and the spirit of the class has been proved right here behind me, because Grant Williams, he's crashed his car, and virtually all the drivers have got involved and got in behind to get you back on the racetrack. And really, Grant, this is what it's all about, isn't it?
Well, it is. It's been fantastic. I mean, every time somebody does something like this, this is what you see. And so I really appreciate what the guys have done. So it's just terrific to be involved with that. And, well, we're going to get the car running again by the looks of it, and we'll do the final race.
It looks like all the overalls, all the drivers here involved getting in here, and there's Marty Irvine, who's actually a panel beater as well. He's in there directing the ship.
Yep, exactly. And all these guys have, like some of them are just home backyard mechanics type guys, but they all get involved and do their bit, and they're really keen to help you get back out there again.
Is that one of the reasons why you got involved in this series?
Not really, but it's one of the benefits that I didn't realise was here. So it's a really terrific part of it. And without these guys helping, we wouldn't be able to really carry on, a lot of us. Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, Grant, but that really shows you the spirit of the series, the E30 series, not only racing on the track, but all the friendship behind the scenes and really getting in behind, helping everybody.
And it also helps at a place like Manfeild. They've got that fantastic indoor arena. Keep everyone dry. Little hint of a jump start there for the number 62 of John Blewett. He initially got away, got back on the brakes. So this is Group 1, Race 3. And these are for the drivers that haven't scored enough points to be in the top 25. So Group 2 will be the faster drivers for the weekend, battling for championship honours for the round and the overall championship. So this is a heads-up start based off points, so effectively the 26th place point scorer starting up front and so on back. And such is the entry list for the weekend for the Castrol BMW Series. So certainly John Blewett starting off the front row there. On board again with Charles Dodds. We were looking out the front screen in his first race. In the coverage, we're now looking out the rear window of the number 79 BMW E30. And as you can hear, that's a 4-cylinder spec BMW 318. So car 11 is Warwick Spedding, 9 is Ross Gardner. Gardner's been one of many drivers that have featured in the BMW Race Driver Series over the last few seasons. Series regular in the familiar number 9 machine. There's furious battles right through this field, 99. Battles further back, John Thompson just outside the top 15, 63. Grant McPhee, and they're 3 wide through turn number 1, 47 out on the grass. That's going to drop him back Philip Smurthwaite. Again, out on the marbles, that's not where you want to be here at Manfeild. Just runs it out onto the grass and loses a couple of positions. 90 Craig Coates, one of the drivers going through there. And the repaired number 7 of Grant Williams. So there's our onboard camera car, Charles Dodds. He's just inside the top 10 here in the final race of the weekend for group number 1. Those are out of the top 25 positions based off race results and qualifying throughout the weekend with the split fields. And McPhee's going to slip up the inside, looking for position off the end of the Denny Holmes straight into Higgins. And McPhee does it as easy as that. There's the Higgins signage in the background, one of the more famous corners in New Zealand motorsport. So 54, John Paladin, he's up there in the top 6 or so. 11, Warwick Spedding. And Tony Velder's got the race lead from John Blewett with Ross Gardner in that 3rd position. So Spedding here in 4th. Marty Irvine's teammate, John Paladin there in 5th. Grant Metzen and Terry Honey aren't too far away either. As we're back on board with Charles Dodds. Now under pressure from the 90 of Craig Coates. Coates is going to pick up the run again onto the back straight to the inside. And problems there, that's a slowing Grant Williams. So after all of that hard work to get the car repaired after the first race on Sunday, it looks like the number 7 is going to peel off into pit lane. Here's 47, Philip Smurthwaite. He's just outside of the 10, 707, Graham Ball. Series debutant this season, another young racer out of kart sport. The Ball family heavily involved. Graham's dad, Peter, races karts. His sister races karts as well. So Graham Ball having the introduction to the BMW E30 Race Driver Series after 2 rounds at Hampton Downs and here in Manfeild for the weekend. So there is our race leader, Tony Valder. Pretty much controlled the lead from the start of this race. The Dyno Power number 12. BMW 318, so that's one of the 4-cylinder cars. You can see that lead back to John Blewett as the 32. Glenn Hitchcock goes to work on the outside of Dodds, this time on the Denny Holmes straight off the hairpin. Just in behind them, you've got the 415 of Andrew Murray and the 29 of Greg Dutton. Unfortunately for Greg, he had a big smash here last season. Pretty much didn't contest the balance of the championship in the Rollos Marine BMW, but good to see him back here at mighty Manfeild. 12, Tony Valder has about a 2 to 3 second advantage over John Blewett. We've got a call on race radio, a jump start penalty for car number 99, John Thompson, so a 10-second penalty will be carried after the end of this race for John Thompson for a jump start. Initially I thought John Blewett had sneaked ahead, but he may have done enough to actually stop after the initial jump, just to correct things. So back on board with Charles Dodds. Gets back around Glenn Hitchcock, who I think made the mistake at turn number 1 and ran wide. So Dodds back ahead of the 32. And that's the battle for 9th, 10th, 11th. And back, here's the 9 of Ross Gardner. He's in the 3rd position, chasing down Tony Valder and John Blewett. He's not too far behind John Blewett. Warwick Spedding in the 4th position. John Paladin still in 5th. In fact, Paladin looks to have lost that spot. I think Grant Metzen may be ahead of the number 54. So again, the battle's further back, just inside the 10. Graham Ball wants a part to play in that. And here's Grant McPhee, 63, just outside of the 10, just in behind that group we were following with our onboard camera car. But down to the line it will be Tony Valder with the win in the final race for Group 1 for the weekend. John Blewett will be 2nd, Ross Gardner 3rd. And it's Warwick Spedding, John Paladin and Grant Metzen. And Charles Dodds will cross the line in the 10th position ahead of Glenn Hitchcock. So Tony Valder taking out the race victory from John Blewett, with Ross Gardner 3rd, Warwick Spedding in 4th ahead of John Paladin and Grant Metzen.
Tony, pretty good start there and you came away with a good win.
Yeah, I knew that if I got a good start and could get it in front of the 2 in front of me, then I'd be pretty comfortable, and I was pretty lucky to get through on the first lap.
A lot of action around the start area.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you got up to 30 cars going into the first corner, and some guys don't get away too quickly and some guys a lot faster, so yeah, you just got to keep your wits about you and stay out of trouble.
John, 2nd place, but just tell us about what happened at the start.
I had the handbrake. I was trying to hold my clutch with the handbrake, and it bit me. I didn't get it off quick enough and nearly stalled, so yeah, my mistake.
Once you settled down, then you got through to 2nd place. Really, Tony was a fair way ahead.
Yeah, and he put in a good run. He put in a very good run, and he was hard to catch.
final race for the E30s to come and the Open class. But here's Roger Davies with something about the E30s.
Well, the E30 class basically is stock standard class. Stock standard car, stock standard engine, and they've still got the electric windows. Even though the E30 class is a stock standard class, the drivers can still adjust a couple of things on the car. The first thing they can adjust by using this little adjuster, little plastic piece here, they bang it in there and it basically adjusts the shock absorbers on the car, on the front, and they can also do it on the rear of the car as well. Well, after the shock absorbers, the next thing they can adjust is the tyre pressures. But before they do that, they must have the tread on the tyre, because if this tread goes away, it becomes like a slick tyre and it will be totally illegal on the car. The way they adjust the tyre pressures, by using the tyre gauge. And they can adjust the pressures either up or down. That'll affect the grip level, but more importantly, will give the balance in the car from the front to the rear.
Thanks, Roger. Final race of the weekend for the BMW E30s. These are the top 26 in the points from the first two races of the weekend for Groups 1 and 2. Ashley Blewett and Matt Griffin off the front row. Marty Irvine's not too far behind there from about a row 3 start. The reigning New Zealand champion for the E30 class. It's tight down into turn 1. A couple of brake lockups there as Richard Oxton's looking to the outside of the 35 of Tony Easton. 17 Bruce Miller in there as well. So certainly the top half of this field have featured in the better results throughout the weekend. Ashley Blewett with a second and a win so far this weekend. The likes of Brent Allen with a 9th and a 1st. Brent will be starting a little bit further back in this one. 2nd in the points last year to Marty Irvine. Matt Griffins had a win and a 6th. And Marty Irvine with a 2nd and a 5th. Gerald Farver with a pair of 3rds for the weekend. So there's Richard Oxton. We saw him feature in the first race for the E30s. He's done well to make the top 26. Battling there with the 10 of Harvey Gray. And Gray with the big late braking move up the inside into Higgins will pick up the position. So this should be a pretty good battle out front between the likes of Matt Griffin and Ashley Blewett. Look for Brent Allen and probably Marty Irvine to be not too far away either. So there is Marty Irvine, and he's got ahead of Ashley Blewett. Blewett starting off the front row alongside Matt Griffin. So the defending champ's got the better of the points leader here in the final race of the weekend from Manfeild. The E30 class in the Castrol BMW Race Driver Series for the 10-11 season. So there's the 72, Matthew Seddon, outside of the top 15. I think that was Ian Brown running just ahead of him in that brown number 68. 187, Paul Clark in there as well. This looks like a battle for a